Yo, this is Roman's crib here.
We are starting a new sub-series on crib editions. I'll be in a new crib starting next week.
More like cribbage edition.
The least successful.
It'll probably be the most successful podcast on the planet.
Weren't we like the fifth top-rated fitness podcast in Sweden at one point?
I'm pretty sure we have a good Swedish market. So shout out to all the Swedish people watching right now. If you guys could give us any discounts or coupon codes to Swedish Fish, I don't know if that correlates with your country, but why not? They're actually a pretty good soccer team, and I think they're in the World Cup this year, so they might be crushing it this year. I think France beat them out, because France won the last World Cup, obviously, but yeah, they are a pretty good soccer team. I'm not sure what other sports that usually people play over there. I think soccer is probably the biggest one, obviously. But also, too, let's notate that we probably won't have a podcast next week unless Roman wants to do one by himself. I'm going to be in the process of moving. So if you're listening, this will probably be the last one, probably for like 2 weeks, whatnot. So that'll be fine. You guys won't miss us too much. Also, I feel like we've done this so many times where it's like kind of like people are like, if they don't come out with once a week, then once every other week's fine. Is that a vanilla Greek yogurt or plain Greek yogurt?
Plain with it's got like whey protein like as like one of the ingredients on the tub, so it's extra protein. I think for 140 calories, it's like 25 grams of protein per 3/4 cup.
That's pretty awesome. I'm hearing there about the plain yogurt. Because the fact that I just eat a decent amount of calories now because of the running and whatnot, I like the sugar added vanilla one, to be honest. Like I'm with that one. I hardly buy the plain one anymore.
I literally took the full scoop of this like Gatorade thirst quencher powder. This shit is just like straight up dextrose.
Yeah, that's probably what I need too, but yeah.
It was absolutely delicious. But like talking about wasted, not wasted calories, because like Mason and I, I'm actually still feeling the bike from yesterday. So we hit shoulders and arms yesterday for a workout, and then we're gonna do a bike ride and a run. But after the bike ride, like we were toast, and it was getting dark out. So I was like, and we hadn't eaten dinner, and I was hungry, and I want to get them gains in. So, but we did 10 minutes on the bike, but like full on sprint, like the whole time. Like my heart rate got above 190 beats per minute. Obviously, it's on like the yeah, I know. I was like,
holy cow.
We were both just soaked by the end of it, because we're like very competitive with each other, and so I'm like still feeling it today. So this is part of my recovery formula here, folks. It was like $7 something at Walmart for, what is it? It's like over 63 servings, it says. But that's per scoop. I'll usually do a half a scoop for probably like 16 fluid ounces of water. And that's like plenty of flavor. So that would be 126 servings, 40
that's
calories.
Crazy.
It would be 11 grams of carbs per half scoop, or 22 grams of carbs per scoop. So it's just it's sugar, dextrose, citric acid, salt, sodium citrate, monopotassium phosphate, calcium silicate, some like gums and like modified food starches, flavoring, and like blue color dye. But I like dextrose for like recovery purposes. I've been told or informed that it has a faster uptake than like glucose or fructose, for example. Plus, it's just like delicious. Like, man, I sip on this stuff all day. Like I understand, like
people technically probably do sip on stuff like that all day.
I was just about to say, we've definitely covered this in the Gainz podcast before, but I totally understand why some people will consume a lot of like calories via liquid calories, and that's a great like first place to start to like cut your calories if you're looking to lose weight or like lean down. So that's all I wanted to note about that.
Two things from what you were just talking about. First off, the topic of Greek yogurt. I actually like my vanilla Greek yogurt with cottage cheese, weirdly enough. It tastes like pretty much like a sweet dessert where it's like vanilla, like cheese pretty much. I know it sounds kind of weird, but try it out. That's like a good like protein dessert. I like to do. I just do like 100 grams of like Greek yogurt, and then I do like 200 to 250 grams of cottage cheese, and I think it's like 35 to 40 grams of protein. And I've been doing it like quite a bit because like, you know, you could have them separated, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what's it gonna feel like when you mix these two together? And it was delicious. And the second thing I want to notate, why aren't there triathlons where you could bike, run, and like lift weights? Why do we have to like? Can we just cut swimming out? I don't like swimming that much. I like being in the water, but I wish like there was like a triathlon where you could just do like biking, running, and like, you know, you have to bench or squat or bench or like deadlift something that like is reasonable until like you hit your limit, and then you're done.
Yeah, maybe we gotta start it up, buddy.
Because like the swimming portion, man, no one wants to swim. I mean, I was telling Sam the other day, we were in the pool, and she was like a high school state swimmer, and I'm over here. I only know how to like survival swim, and I'm like, I only think swimming should be necessary unless you need it when you're surviving. It's a pretty good workout, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like a lot more people would. I don't know.
I'm really good at anti-survival swimming.
Because see, the thing is like, I don't know is it bike, run, swim, or what's like the order of events? Because like if swimming is first or second, like that just stinks. Like, because I think my brother Francois wanted to do something, but he's like, man, you gotta invest in like wet gear, and like I don't want to be like wet when I'm running or biking. So is there an order of events? Am I just throwing it out there?
I don't know if it's always like this, but the two triathlons I've seen, one was a sprint for Bill and one was a sprint for Joe. They both started out swim first, then they ran to their bikes, then they biked, and then I think they ran to finish up. I think that was.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
I wouldn't want to swim. Like I wouldn't want to swim any other time than first. Because like in the middle, I feel like I'd be gassed, and at the end, I mean, Yeah,
but still, you want to sit there in like wet clothes the whole time? Like are you able like to like take your shoes off and like put new shoes on like when you're about to go biking? Like.
So what some people will do is they will wear a wetsuit, but then they'll like quickly like get out of their wetsuit and they'll be like in their dry-ish clothes. And then some people have a spare pair of shoes that they'll like switch on real quick.
See, if you did biking, running, and then benching, you wouldn't have to deal with that. You wear the same clothes. You could just bench.
The issue is, what do you do? Create a standard? Like somebody has to bench 50% of their body weight for like 100 reps or something like that? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, why not? And then for like the, females, maybe do like 40% or 30%, and then just kind of see how that works. I'm just thinking outside the box, I'm just not a big swimmer. So it's like, I just hate swimming. I really don't like swimming. And it's like, I think triathlons would be cool because I like biking and I don't mind running, but like swimming, I just wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah. You know how like some people are like swimmers and then like other people are floaters? I'm a thinker.
You got like weights on your ankles where it's just like you can't even like stand up in the water. You're just getting pulled down constantly.
Weights on my ankle. My goodness. You put floaties on like both, like on like lower part of the arm, upper part of the arm. You put floaties around my waist. You put floaties around my knees. You put floaties around my my ankles, and you put a floaty around my neck. I'm still sinking.
Holy cow! But. That's hilarious. Let's get to the subject because as I say, we're 10 minutes deep, and I want to make sure because I know you got some good quality content. But Roman, start us off, buddy. What are we talking today, and what did you want to talk about today?
Yeah, let's here we'll go outside for a little bit. Come on, buddy. this topic is actually inspired by Mason. It was like a really, really good idea on his part. Which I think I went through and I didn't see that we specifically talked about this. I think we probably talked about it like a bit, like we probably mentioned it in passing type situation. Yeah. But we wanted to go over the hip hinge today, and maybe we can do like a little like outdoor tutorial if the dogs don't misbehave. So hip hinge, what is it? It's a I would say that it's a fundamental movement pattern for like able-bodied individuals, where the knees stay in a relatively straight, fixed position, and the hips shoot backwards to be able to accommodate like the torso to be able to lean forward. So where do you see this most? Is usually when people are like picking things up off the ground, like a deadlift. So I'm always looking for where movement patterns in the gym sync up with real life movement patterns. And oftentimes you'll see like people will like squat weight up if they're like picking up a box up off the ground, and you can totally do that. And you could also do the hip hinge. But some people might ask like, when would I ever actually have to do the hip hinge in real life? And there are some like legitimate use cases of it. And one was brought up to me recently. So one time that you might see like the hip hinge being used in like the real world is when somebody's bringing down a gate for a trailer, for example. So in that instance, it's kind of awkward to squat. The dogs are in a playful mood, so I'm gonna leave them outside. So it can be awkward to squat a trailer, the lift gate down. So instead, what I will do when I'm like helping my brother out with his trailer, or like what I'll see him do is he'll shoot his butt back as he's bringing the weight down, and to like from above his head to his chest, and then to his waist, and then ultimately down. To squat it down, your knees are actually going to go in front of where the gate is that you're trying to bring down to the ground. So that's when it's advantageous to keep the knees in a relatively fixed position and just shoot the hips back. So I can do a quick little demonstration for Gainz Nation, so we see what this looks like.
Can't wait for this.
Show off the booty gate. So essentially what this would look like is when you're undoing a trailer, for example, and you're lifting it up, so you're going to obviously step back. But the movement pattern you're going to do is you're going to bring it down here to the chest, and then as you bring it down here, remember, I'm moving back, I'm trying to stay in the video, you're going to shoot the hips back, keep the knees relatively locked, you have to move forward a little bit. But we're not doing a squat here, right? It's just in the hips, and we're bringing the why can't I think of the term of it? We're bringing the door down to the ground. Okay. See how this looks? So this is a hip hinge, and why this is a useful movement pattern is, one, in the gym we can train our hamstrings if we manipulate our hips in a certain way. Usually I say hips to the sky, but we want to anteriorly tilt our pelvis so that as we're shooting our hips back, our hips are essentially going up. We want to think about rotating the hips up, and you're putting more tension on the hamstrings to be able to stimulate them for either like hypertrophy or like for strength purposes, if you're doing like straight leg deadlifts or RDLs as an accessory to your deadlifts, as an example. So clearly deadlifts is a massive movement in regards to building like overall strength in the gym, and requires like the use of the hip hinge movement pattern. So you can do this both bilaterally, which is what we're referencing here, like both in the real life when you bring a trailer hitch down, for example, or a trailer door down. Obviously, there's like a number of other cases that you could do this. Picking a box up off the ground, you might choose to do a hip hinge as opposed to a squat. But also, you can do it unilateral. And there's examples in the gym too for bilateral movement patterns. in regards to the hip hinge. So that's going to be the deadlift. That's going to be the RDL, or Russian deadlift. That's going to be the straight leg deadlift. But you can also do it unilaterally as well. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this as a like a bodybuilding movement, just because you can get some like stability issues depending on like your foot strength. But I think that for like Gen Pop, a unilateral hip hinge is a fantastic advanced or intermediate movement pattern to kind of spice things up a little bit, but also work on some different dynamics. One, foot strength. We talked about the importance of getting your pinky strong. I put on dress shoes the other day because I was taking my lady out, and I was meeting her mom for the first time, and so I put on dress shoes, and like it just felt awkward. I like couldn't do it. So I put on my trail running shoes, and I was like, whatever, take me as I am, I guess. So extremely important to be able to build foot strength, because like if you can't root yourself down into the ground onto like your hardwood floors, whatever the surface is, then like how can you expect the rest of your body to be like well conditioned and strong? So I really do like thinking about like a ground up approach. You could also look at like the hips and blah blah blah. There's other people that take different approaches and whatnot. I know Kelly Starrett is a really big fan of looking at like ground up approach. So I believe that like unilateral hip hinge movements can be really important for Gen Pop for developing foot strength, as well as stability and strength in the hamstrings, the posterior chain, the glutes, et cetera, et cetera. What do you think about that, buddy?
No, I think it's all great, buddy. I think you put up some good points, and I think the biggest thing to relate it to like the fact that you kind of do this every day, it's kind of like something that should not be frowned upon, where it's like, because you could be doing this every day, or you could be doing this a lot. It's like a great muscle memory movement to have in your pocketbook, because a lot of the times, bless you, a lot of the times, people, and I don't know the stats of this, but a lot of people will probably more or less get injured like outside of the gym than inside of the gym, because maybe like a simple movement was never like taught or done before. And I think it's important because you need stability, you need to be rooted to the ground. And like Roman was saying, like yesterday I went out and I was wearing my Vans. I even wore like thin socks, and like my pinky toe was just like stuffed into my fourth toe. And it just like like I said, ever since like whitening my toes and whatnot, it's just like I can't even wear shoes like that anymore. And it kind of stinks, because like they're like pretty nice shoes, and like it just doesn't feel comfortable. But besides that, like the hip hinge also could be used for like a beginner stability tool, right? So like if you're a personal trainer, the first thing you're going to do is, obviously, if they're a healthy individual, then they're most likely going to be cleared from a medical professional. If they do have issues, obviously you want to make sure they're cleared from their doctors. And if there's something that they can or cannot do, that's step one. But the step two, I guess it's step one or step two, is the fact that you're testing the ability to be able to perform like certain movements like this. So if someone is not able to hip hinge with 2 feet, then, obviously they're probably not going to be able to do it with 1 foot, unilateral, or vice versa. So if they're able to hip hinge on 2 feet, and then for some reason their right leg, because they might be right dominant, right? So if they're right dominant, they kick with their right foot, they might be a righty all around. They could somehow, do a one-legged, like Roman was saying, fixed knee deadlift, or like RDL, where you tell them like, hey, try to, make your fingers like, put both your hands like with a relatively straight back. Try to put your hands and try to touch like your toes or like your shins. And for some reason, the right side's like good, but when you test the left side, all of a sudden you see them like fall over, you see their hips like fall, you see You see a bunch of like things where it's like even their foot's like kind of twisting. Those are the things that you want to go over with your training practices. Also, too, another thing, I know Roman's probably about to show you guys this, but let me do one more. I'm going to explain one more thing, and then Roman, I know you're going to do something right now because I can tell you're up to something like always. The next thing about that, yes, with newer lifters, we're testing that, but you'd be surprised on how many seasoned lifters cannot do a one-legged RDL, and we're talking no weight at all. So a lot of the times, like I think Squat University just put it out there. There's like a state record holder squatter that they posted, and the guy, I'm making this up because I don't remember, he could squat 700 plus. Let's just say that. But for some reason, he couldn't squat without any weight. So he was able to squat with like, a plate on or 2 plates on, perfect full range of motion. And for some reason, he couldn't do it without any equipment, like no weight on his back, anything like that. Kind of like the RDL. Like if for some reason a seasoned lifter is able to do RDLs with like a barbell, RDLs with dumbbells, or they're able to perform like a stiff leg deadlift and have no problem at all, but it has to have like weight on it, like 135 and plus or 95 pounds and plus. And then you tell them to do a unilateral RDL with no weight at all. And for some reason they fall over on both feet. And, obviously they don't have a problem with weights, but with a stability issue like that, that could be a key to a recipe for disaster when it comes to like injury. Also, making sure they're the strongest person they could be. Like even like that guy, like I was talking about with the squat, because he couldn't do that, like they did a bunch of tests and now he's doing stuff that he's going to be able to do it without the weight. And now he's going to be even a stronger squatter. I mean, I couldn't imagine squatting 700 plus pounds myself, but if I was able to squat a little bit more, like, holy cow, like that's even better for me, right? That's all else I wanted to add to what you were saying. I didn't really say anything different. I just wanted to just add on top of what you were saying, but go ahead, Roman.
That was good context. So I want to show a couple of things because I think we're running up on time pretty shortly.
Yeah, we got like 7 minutes, 7-ish minutes.
The Gainz Nation. So one thing that Antoine mentioned that you'll see some like beginning lifters do, and because I work out at a Planet Fitness now, I see a lot of people like just getting into the gym for the first time or getting like back to the gym. Nothing wrong with that. That's great. Love to see so many different faces. Love to see people getting after it. But what you'll see when people think of the hip hinge is they're actually bending more forward at the low back than they are shooting the hips back. So what we want to see is initiation at the hips first, but I'll show you what I see more often than not. So it's bending forward at the low back, and they continue to go down. They lose the strength and the stability in the spine. You see how the spine is rounding now?
Yeah.
Kind of a scared cat. And this is the beginning position that they'll pick stuff up off the ground. There's nothing wrong with this position inherently because I can come back up and I feel fine. I'll train this position from time to time, right? But for a beginning lifter, we really want to hammer down that in beginning the hip hinge movement, it all starts at the hips. So they want to think about breaking the central hips and then maintaining a relatively straightened knee. My knee is not like uber hyper straight now, but it's not going to go any more forward. And I'm just going to shoot backwards at the hip as I'm maintaining this tightness and rigidity across my spine. If you don't know what I'm talking about, no problem. I'll show you an example of what I want you to do. So this is a dowel. See if your local gym has a dowel. A lot of gyms will have PVC pipes, okay? We have a video way back when on the Gainz podcast showing this. But I want you to hold one hand up here by your head and one part of the dowel down here by your butt, okay? So what you're going to essentially do is you're going to maintain at least 2 points of contact on this, right? So that means that you can't do this, right? Because now I feel it and I can't go back anymore. So
he's talking about when he's not shooting his hips, he's pushing his chest down first, and then the backside of like the dolly was raising. I just want to do it for the people not watching. Sorry.
Exactly. No. Great explanation. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hold the dowel towards the upper part of our back, and it's also touching my sacrum or the sit bone, right? And we're just gonna start by shooting the hips back, maintaining a nice, tight, strong back, maintaining these points of contact. Keep shooting the butt back. 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 I can't go much further than this, so I'm just gonna stop, hold this position, and then feel and do an assessment. Where are you at right now? Right now, my hamstrings feel pretty tight. I can feel the dowel across my back, and I'm going to initiate the movement up by maintaining a strong back and starting to shoot the hips forward. Strong back, shoot the hips forward. Once again, this is great for stimulating the hamstrings, our glutes, and our posterior chain. The dowel is a huge trick, a huge learning trick for individuals. A lot of people are what are called like kinesthetic learners. They learn by doing. They learn by touch. So if you're a personal trainer, make sure you always get permission of your trainees before you do like any types like of manipulations. Obviously, always only touch clients like in appropriate places that they're comfortable, such as like the upper back. Like I said, make sure you get permission before you do so. But that can be a great learning tool.
The only thing, I know you said you keep like a strong back. Obviously, when you're doing these movements, you want to brace your core, and you kind of want to like control your breathing. So obviously, you maybe want to start the inhale when you're doing the actual movement, and just kind of hold that breath instead of being, blowing in and out and, loosening up your back so, injuries could persist.
Yes, sir.
And I think I got you off videos, so.
I'm getting that call. It's fine. I'll just call him back. So that's what is called like quote unquote neutral spine. So it's a degree of extension and flexion, which does not fall within the extremes. A great resource for talking about neutral spine and the importance of it, but also like some of the limitations and what we understand about neutral spine and movement patterns is Steffi Cohen. Man, I haven't consumed any of her content in a long time, but she has a lot of great content out there in regards to.
Pretty much the only questions she has is about relationship stuff lately, because they were like engaged, her and her fiance, and like every time you're not missing a lot, because every time she posts like, hey, ask me questions for like fitness related stuff, everyone's just posting about like relationship stuff. So it's a little bit off track. Like she's like dating another guy already, and like I got nothing against any of that, obviously, but I'm just saying like I miss the Steffi Cohen when people would ask like actual questions like with fitness related instead of trying to get involved in her like relationship lifestyle. So I just like we can't I have to like skip over it pretty much a lot of the times, because I'm missing the original Steffi Cohen when she first went to Instagram. So
yeah, it's too, because I feel like women kind of get like a bad lot when it comes to being like fitness influencers and all that, because they'll get more like kind of like unrelated questions to like what they're trying to do.
Because there's a bunch of creepers out there.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah.
But did you have anything else you wanted to add, Robert, to the hip hinge? I think if you're not watching this, make sure to hop on YouTube, and maybe if like some of the stuff that Roman was providing, like descriptions, more information on like describing the movement, the YouTube video is going to be probably the best aspect to like check this out and make sure you're doing everything appropriately. Obviously Roman could do this as like an Instagram post if you guys want to. So let Roman or I know, and we could just kind of sum up to like a 2-minute video on what Roman was doing earlier. So. Did you want anything else, buddy?
No, that's great. That's exactly it. Definitely give this, if you haven't practiced a hip hinge in the gym, definitely give it a try. It's okay if it feels awkward at first. It definitely is awkward at first, but I think that it is an essential movement pattern to complement the squat, because there are types of situations both in the gym and or in real life where the squat isn't optimal for the movement pattern you're trying to practice, or you need to exercise in real life. So yeah, give it a try. Let us know if you have any questions. We're always happy to help.
All right, y'all. Well, thank you for tuning in, watching, listening, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.